Hey, it's Joe Amoia, founder and creator of GPSforlove.com. If you're like most of the members of our GPS for Love community, you're trying to figure out what it takes to get a guy to really commit the rest of his life to you. Well, if that's you, I want you to pay close attention because I've got a great video for you. You see, one of the things that I've learned in life is we make things a lot more complicated than it needs to be. So when we're looking, what do I need to do? What do I need to say? What do I need to wear? How do I need to do my hair? Do I need to lose a few pounds? Do I need to gain a few pounds? All these things that we think we need to do in order to make someone love us. When the reality is there's really only one thing and one thing only you need to do. And that is to show up and be the real you from the very first date, from the very first phone call, from the very first email, from the very first text. Now I know some of you go, but how do I do that? What do I need to do? And that's the paradox, is that's where we make it so much more difficult. It's kind of like, we say we want to lose weight. What's the book? What's the diet? It's like, just eat better and exercise regularly. It's really, really simple. It's really not complicated. And it works the same way in our love lives. There's nothing you have to do other than be the real, authentic you. So let me give you an example of how that showed up in my life. There's a time in my life where I was at the same thing. It's a competition, right? Why is a woman going to pick me versus all the other guys? And I tried to, dress a certain way and be a certain way and act all a certain way. And I'm like, you know what? That's just not me. This is who I am. And you either love and accept me for who I am or you don't. And I've got really comfortable with that. And when I started getting really comfortable with that and living like that, it's amazing how much easier things became. See, dating is simply a numbers game, nothing more, nothing less. I say it's like clothes shopping. You keep trying the clothes on until you find the one that meets all your buying criteria. There's been a time in your life where you went to a formal event and you needed that really fancy dress, right? And you went shopping and you had an idea of what you were looking for. You were pretty clear, right? And was it the style? Was it the cut? Was it the color? Was it the budget? Then you looked at all those criteria and says, yeah, these look good. And then you went and you tried the right one on. And it's like, wow, when I put this one on, this makes me feel special, right? That's exactly what we're talking about. That's the approach you take to your love life. Now, I know you're sitting there and go, yeah, but Joe, how do I be my true self? I'm going to make it real simple for you, okay? Again, it's really not that complicated. What you do is you look at the you that you are with your best friends, with the people that you love most in your life. When you're around them, do you think, are you in your head on how you should act? Do you worry about how you're going to dress? Or do you just show up and be you, whatever that is? See, you can't be somebody else. If you're not really outgoing, that's okay. You don't need to be. You're going to find a guy somewhere, somehow, who loves and accepts you for you, okay? And you're going to balance each other. When I first met my wife, she was a very quiet, reserved woman, okay? I was the more outgoing one. And we balanced each other. But as I got to know her, the real her, from the very first moment, I'm like, this is the kind of woman that I want to be with. And that's what you have to understand. Any guy who doesn't want to be with the real you, and I'm going to make this simple again, simply isn't the right guy for you. Nothing more, nothing less. It's like that dress, not the right one, put it back on the rack. Doesn't mean that you're never going to find another dress. Doesn't mean you're never going to find what you're looking for. Just means that that's not the right one for you. But what happens is it doesn't fit, doesn't work out, and then you get, oh, see, I'm never going to find someone. Dating sucks. Men suck. Men can't commit. Blah, 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 yada, 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 right? Okay? Means nothing other than it doesn't fit. It's not the right one. So that's your goal. That's your intention from here on out, is to show up from the very first moment as the real you. Now, this is where you've got to do your work, okay? Take that mirror time and get really honest and go, do you do that? Do you show up from the very first moment as the real you, saying, hey, this is who I am, love me, like me, or don't, that's your issue. And if you do, you're on track. You ultimately will find, when the time is right, the right person for you. Now, if you don't, that's where you've got to do some work, and you've got to investigate why. There's some underlying fears that are behind that are driving your behavior. Maybe you don't think you're good enough. Maybe you don't think you're ever going to find the love you really want, so you tend to settle. Maybe you think it's your job to save people because that's what you've learned in life. That's what you learned love is. Love is sacrificing yourself at all costs. Again, there's no right or wrong, but you need to identify the enemy before you can make the changes you need to make. So this is a very, very vital and important video. But here at GPS for Love, we try to make things as simple as possible so that you can implement them to create the results you desire and deserve. So, as always, an honor, privilege to be with you. I want to hear from you. After listening to this, what comes up? Have you truly been yourself? That same person you are with your friends and your most loved ones? Or does something change? Do you turn into this different individual? If so, I want you to put your question, comments, and feedback in the box below. Always an honor. I'll see you next time. Much love.